Hello everyone, my name is Leo with SuperTech. I've got this PlayStation 4 original that was brought to me today by a customer, basically telling me the initial problem was that they were stuck in safe mode, and they sure were stuck in safe mode. I was able to, I believe, get that taken care of because we were able to see the screen at that specific time. But one of the things I did notice is that they were getting streaked white lines, which that entails that the video encoder chip itself was actually going back. So I completed the actual update, and then all of a sudden when it completed or it finished the update, it no longer wanted to display, meaning that the video encoder chip actually went bad. So that being said, I do have to open up this console. As you can see, it's actually got the white light of death, but it's not displaying anything on the screen. So I do need to get this console open and replace the video encoder chip. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, turn off this console, and let's go ahead and replace that chip, the video chip. Alrighty, so we've got the board here on hand now. We do have to make sure that we've got this particular video encoder chip. I don't know if I actually have it at the moment. One of the things I will check first is this HDMI port to make sure that this HDMI port, nothing's wrong with it. And also need to validate that I do have this, I don't know it off the top of my head what the, I'm not sure if it's the MN864729 or the MN8671A. It looks like it is 729, so I need to check to see if I do have it available, which I believe I've got. Yes, I've got two of them available, so I do have it. So let's go ahead and remove this chip here, which is the video encoder chip, and then put this one on there so that we can get this console repaired. Alrighty, so first things first, let me go ahead and check this port just to make sure that the port itself is actually good. Turn on my light for my scope. I do have my baby boy here with me as well, so if you hear him talking, don't mind him. And let's go ahead and switch over to the microscope. To me, this port looks to be in very good condition. Nothing is wrong with the HDMI port that I can see, unless it's been pushed in without me actually knowing. You see from inside what it looks like. It actually does look to be pushed. So the issue may not be the video encoder chip. I believe the issue is probably going to be this HDMI port. So what we're going to do is actually replace the instead of replacing the video encoder chip, we're going to replace the HDMI port first, and then test and see if we still encounter the same problem. So I do have to remove this. There we go. And this HDMI port definitely is pushed in. I hope none of the pins are actually torn. So we're going to push that back inside. So what I'm trying to do right now is actually expose the pins, so I can put some low melt solder to be able to remove this HDMI port. So what I'm doing is I'm just squeezing it using the force of the actual HDMI port to be able to push that in. And I believe that we've got it pushed in now. Not sure if you can actually see that, but it is pushed in, and I am able to see the pins. Let me go ahead and go back to the microscope. So as you can see, the pins have been exposed. So what I'm going to do is actually desolder this HDMI port and put in a new port, and then we'll test to see if in fact this is actually the reason why we had no video. Most definitely it is. I just hope it didn't cause any shortages of any sort. That either some of these EMI filters and or diodes or capacitors actually burnt, or what would be the actual terminology would be that they got shorted to where now they may need to be replaced as well. So that being said, what I'm going to do first is actually replace the HDMI port. I will test these EMI filters to make sure that they are good. If that turns to be good, we'll just test afterwards and see if we do have video. Let me go ahead and start adding some low melt solder to this port. I will have to be very, very, very careful though when adding low melt solder. As you can see here, we actually have these components really, really close by to where all these pins are at, and I do not want to add any low melt solder to any of these components at all. I just want to leave it on the pins and on these legs here, which would make it easier for me to remove this HDMI port. I do not want to touch any of these components, so that's going to be very, very, very difficult to do. But nevertheless, we do have to get it done now. So let's go ahead and get this done. Alrighty, so we've got the HDMI port right in front of us. Let's go ahead and start adding some flux, and then right afterwards start adding some low melt solder. The low melt solder, I buy this off of Amazon. It is called Fast Chip SMD Removal. This is a tubing I buy. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below for anyone that wants to buy this specific low melt solder. I do get several sticks that it comes with, and it actually lasts me pretty long. It lasts me a while, so it's something. The low melt solder, it is one that I would recommend because it definitely works, and you'll see the magic it does for me here. Oh, one of the things I did forget to do is turn on my fume extractor. You definitely do not want to breathe in any of these fumes, as they are potential to, you getting cancer and whatnot. So you definitely do not want to be inhaling the fumes. So one of my techniques I do is I do let the hot iron actually sit on the pins for a little bit to allow the low melt solder to actually fuse with the pins. And I'm trying to be careful here. Oh, I'm trying to be very, very careful so that I do not touch that diode that's sitting right there. Alright, I've touched that enough. Now let's go ahead and flip it around. And we're going to do the same process. Let's add some, and we also have to be very, very careful. Let's add some flux. Alright, flux was added, and let's go ahead and fuse this low melt solder to these legs. Alrighty, we've got the legs with low melt solder, and this board is ready for me to go ahead and use some hot air and remove this port. But I'll be right back, y'all. Give me just a second. My baby boy actually just fell asleep. I don't know if you can actually see him there. He's actually right there. He fell asleep while me working on this board. It is about 1 a.m. right now. And yeah, I'm about to go ahead and grab him and take him to bed. So I'll be right back. Alrighty, let's go ahead and proceed with this specific repair. We're going to go to the board view. And we're going to turn off the slide temporarily. What I'm going to do is actually put something underneath. I'm going to use this here. Alright, so we put something underneath and also something up top so that it allows me to remove this without the back end moving forward. And actually, I don't like it that way because I am right-handed. So I'm going to turn it around this other way instead. Put this here so that I can put the hot air through here and use one of my tweezers that has a thicker tip to be able to pry on and be able to move this off. I do have my hot air station set to 750 Fahrenheit, and I have max airflow, which is 120%. My standard is normally around 750. I do, depending on what type of port and what it is, I do sometimes go a little bit around 720, 725. Sometimes I could go up to like 800 Fahrenheit. I'm not using any Kapton tape. I should have, but I believe I should be fine because I am using low melt solder. And it shouldn't take that long for me to remove this HDMI port off of here. There we go. We got the HDMI port off of the console. Came out with, of course, the low melt solder that I did place on there. We're going to go ahead and clean this up real quick and get it ready, prepped to put in the new HDMI port. So we're going to go ahead and clean this side first, and then we'll do where the pins is at. So to do that, of course, first things first, we are going to add more flux to the holes. And this is to be able to suck up all this low melt solder that we ended up using. We do not want to leave any low melt solder on here. So what I do is I put some flux, and then we're going to use some wick to remove the low melt solder with the hot iron. Alright, so that's cleaned. Let's go ahead and use a brush. And clean the flux that we left on this board. Alrighty, so we've got that part of the board cleaned, as you can see. There still is some solder inside. I'm going to see if I can get it from the other side. Alright, so this is the other side of the board. I know the glare does not help it from being able to see properly. I do need to clean this up. And we're going to add some more flux also to the pins. And let's remove the low melt solder we added. Once again, using the braid. and the hot iron station. We are going to start with the legs and then the pins themselves. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get this cleaned up with some isopropyl alcohol, some IPA. The board is prepped for me to go ahead and add add the new HDMI port to this console, to this board, to this PCB board. Let me go ahead and clean it up just a bit more. Alrighty, let me go ahead and grab the HDMI port here. So I've got the new HDMI port right over here. Let's go ahead and get this HDMI port opened and start getting it ready to put it onto this board. Just to show you guys the difference. This here is the old HDMI port. Now this is the new one, my apologies. And this is the old HDMI port. I did have to push it in because it was sticking out. This one should not come out. It is, as you can see here, this one won't come out because it's got this pin here that's going to hold it in place. Same here. This one, unfortunately, does not have it. You can see it's actually opened, which allowed it to stick out. Unfortunately, we cannot reuse the same port since it's already been broken once. So we are going to use a new HDMI port. And let's see if it actually fits in here perfectly. And the port actually aligns to the pins properly. Let's go ahead and add some flux. We're going to add some flux to the pins so that we can secure the pins. Added some flux to the pins so we can secure the pins and then turn it around to secure the bottom of the board. Now I am going to use temporarily a smaller tip with regular leaded solder. It's not low melt solder, regular leaded solder. I've already added not sure why, but my tip is not getting the solder the way I want it to. It's actually going towards the very end. I had to clean the tip real quick. See if it does it now. There we go. Okay, there we go. Let me go ahead and hold the HDMI port in place. For some reason, that other tip was not soldering them on, so I'm going to use this bigger tip, and I'm going to use it sideways. There we go. We're going to leave it like that for now. I'm only doing that so that the port stays in place while I solder the legs. Alright, let's go ahead and get these legs first. Add some flux. Let's add some solder to the legs. There you go. Legs are secure. Let's go ahead and clean this up. There we go. Bottom is clean. Let's go ahead and turn it around. And let's finish getting the pins as well as the leg solder. So we're going to start continue with the legs. Alright, so the legs are now done. Let's go ahead and get these pins fixed. For the pins, I do have to turn this board at an angle, which would make it easier for me to actually work on. That way I can see if any of the pins are actually bridged. Alrighty, so I'm going to take a closer look at these pins and actually do the nudge test to make sure that none of these pins are actually loose. That pin's loose. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow. There's too many of them that are not touching. Too many of them that are not touching the actual port itself or the pins themselves. So let's try this again. I was too concerned of them bridging. There we go. They all tested good. Let's go ahead and test these with our multimeter just to make sure that none are bridged together. So what we're going to do is actually place our multimeter in diode mode. And of course I'm going to have this board in an angle, which makes it easier for me to test these spins. There we go. So to test the pins, what I do is I touch one and then to each other. So pin 1, pin 2, and make sure that they are bridged, meaning that they're not touching each other. If they are, you'll hear a beeping sound just like you are now. So those two are bridged. Let me go ahead and add some flux and see if we can get that bridge out of there. I can't tell if we did. We did not. The bridge is still there. Alright, those tests tested successfully now. Let's go ahead and check the EMI filters as well. Also in diode mode. Awesome. They all tested successfully. Let's go ahead and clean this board out. Okay. Let's go ahead and test this board now and see if it'll work. So first things first, let's clean off the thermal paste completely off of this board. Alrighty, we've got the APU cleaned. Let's go ahead and add some thermal paste. Put the board together enough to test and see if this fixed the actual problem. Alrighty, we put everything together enough to be able to test. Let's go ahead and see if we see anything being displayed from this console. Right now we see the blue light. I don't see anything. Oh, there we go. I think so. Yep, we've got checking system storage. That is awesome. We got this console back up and running, so it was not as my initial diagnosis was. I thought it was going to be the video encoder chip, but it ended up being the actual HDMI port. It did shut off right now, so I'm waiting for it to come back up. I believe it's probably because I unplugged it earlier incorrectly. I do not have a controller with me because I took it downstairs, but We did see image, and I believe we should be seeing the PlayStation logo here shortly. There we go. I don't have the controller with me. Actually, I have a controller right over here. Let me go ahead and use this controller real quick. Let's see if it allows me to get to the main screen. Uh-oh, I hope it didn't erase anything this customer had. I haven't done anything to this console besides change the HDMI port, and I did do an update earlier, but it wasn't a reinstallation update. It was more of just a regular update. So I hope this customer did not lose any of their data. We're about to find out right now if we actually see a profile on here. They may have lost everything. I believe this customer did lose everything. I did not do a complete initialize to this at all. So whomever attempted to do an update previously, they may have erased everything that this customer had. Because all I did was just an update to it, not a complete reinstallation. It looks like they may have erased whatever content or data this customer had off of this console, but at least the console, it is working for this customer. Other than that, I am going to go ahead and put this console back together, but this console or this video itself is actually completely done. For those of you actually watching my video, thank you very much. I will not put you through watching the entire video of me putting this back together, as you may have already seen this multiple times. So thank you very much for staying tuned watching my videos. Do me a favor, to help out the video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button as well as the follow button. The subscribe button as well as the notification button, so that you get notified every time I actually upload a video. Thank you very much for, again, staying tuned and watching this video, and I will see you on my next video. Thanks, guys. Peace.